The Seahawks did something at the trade deadline they usually don't do, and they traded for a star defensive lineman, Leonard Williams, who I think is really good. I mean, this guy had 11.5 sacks in 2020 for the Giants and the Jets, technically. I think that may have just been the Giants here before he got traded there in 2019, which he had zero point 0.5 sacks, but he was so good in 2020. In 2021, 6.5 sacks. 2022, he had 2.5. And then this year so far, he has 1.5 sacks. But what you're really looking for in Williams right here is this team, he's going to be honest, so much better than the Giants. I mean, they had Dexter Lawrence. You could count Kayvon Thibodeau, but, Kayvon Thibodeau has been good this year, but last year he was pretty awful. And really, Lorenzo Carter isn't very good at all either. And when you're talking about just, him playing inside, there's a reason he got more opportunities in 2020 to get those sacks. When you look at a guy like Mario Edwards Jr., who's on the Seahawks, who had a 3-sack game this year, Jaron Reed, who had a 2-sack game this year, Draymond Jones, who's had a sack or two, he hasn't been as elite because of the fact that he gets double-teamed more. When you bring in a guy like Leonard Williams, who's going to help stop the run, which the Seahawks looked atrocious last week against the Browns in the run game. They had basically 3 running backs firing all cylinders against them with Kareem Hunt, Jerome Ford, and Armstrong or whatever his name is. Paul Armstrong or something. I've literally never heard of the guy. And I watch a lot of football, and that guy had 10 carries for 82 yards. He's going off too. And, they just really weren't good against the run. And when you talk about being 5-2, it's probably the weakest 5-2 in the league maybe, besides, I don't know, maybe the Lions. Or the Lions are now 6-2, I believe. But we beat the Lions in overtime. That was a great win, but every other win really hasn't been, that flashy. Except maybe the Giants when we had 11 sacks in that game. That was a great game, but the Giants are awful this year. And, getting a guy from the Giants like Leonard Williams, that's a great guy to get because that's one of their best players on that team. Him, Dexter Lawrence, Andrew Thomas, and then I don't even know, Thibodeau, if you really want to think about it. But, everyone else on that team is pretty bad. They really don't have anyone else except Saquon and maybe Isaiah Hodgins if you think he's good. And that's basically it. And Darren Waller, but now with getting Leonard Williams, and then you add him to Draymond Jones, Baye Mafe, who's been so good this year, 5 straight games with a sack, and then Darrell Taylor and Derek Hall, who we'll see which one of those guys ends up flashing and playing better than the other. I think it'll be Darrell Taylor, but I doubt he'll be back next year. I think this is his last year on his contract, if I'm not mistaken. I know him and Jordan Brooks were drafted in the same draft class, and I think he's gone after this year. But Derek Hall, and then we'll have Chinna Nwosu back next year. He signed that extension, that 3-year, $58 million extension. He's been very good. Sucks he's on injury reserve. Really, if we would have made it to the playoffs, he would have been a huge difference maker. But with him being out now, we will see what we have in these 3 other guys. I'd say more so 2 other guys with Derek Hall and Darrell Taylor, because both those guys, I think Darrell Taylor is such a freak of nature, great athlete. He's insanely athletic, and he does get sacks. I mean, his sophomore year, which was his rookie year because he didn't play his whole rookie year, he was very dominant at times before he got injured. I know he's looked kind of stupid over the past year or two, making some really bad penalties, where he got faked out by Jared Goff and that win against the Lions, and that was a roughing the passer call. And I know he can get sacks, he can be super good at that, and he's really a third down player in pass situations. But I still think you're not even going to see maybe Derek Hall and him in a lot unless it's third down and stuff, because you're probably going to have Leonard Williams, Draymond Jones, Baye Mafe, and then you're probably going to have a mix of Jaron Reed, Mario Edwards Jr., and a few other guys getting snaps in there. And with how good the Seahawks defense has been, with linebackers, with Bobby Wagner being really the best run defender in the league this year, because mostly the D-line hasn't been as good, and he's had to come up and make a lot of tackles. Jordan Brooks also. Julian Love's been looking a lot better. He had that big pick last week. Jamal Adams getting past deflections. He's going to be a force in the run game, I think, especially with it being a little harder to run on the Seahawks. And then you got The corners have been playing a lot better with Devin Witherspoon, who's been pretty unstoppable this year. And then you talk about Reek Woolen, who finally had a pick this year, last game, and hopefully he can start becoming more of a ball hog. Quandre Diggs, we know Quandre Diggs will go off eventually at some point this year. He always does. And then I just think basically Malik Jackson also, I hope he plays better. And then I think maybe we'll see Kobe Bryant in there a little bit. But so much for the defense, it's been pretty good up to this point, in my opinion. I think the offense has been struggling a lot more. A lot of that has to do with injuries to the O-line, and Geno Smith just not feeling as comfortable. He's not really in rhythm right now. I think, with last week getting JSN involved, Jake Bobo, having that great touchdown and having that other 31-yard catch. That was either last week or the week before. He's looking a lot better, and then hopefully we can get DK going more. I know Tyler Lockett had a pretty good game last week. He had 8 catches for 82 yards. He looked a lot better. Kenneth Walker's been looking pretty good. Hopefully Zach Charbonnet can get going. I mean, we really haven't used him to his full potential, in my opinion. And then, we've had to do a lot more with double tight ends because of how injured the O-line has been. I like Parkinson. I like Fant. Disley's kind of not been here this year. Hopefully we can get Fant going more too, because he's such a good player after the catch. But tell me what you guys think down in the comments. Make sure to check out my website. We do go over a lot of NFL news. So if you want to keep up with the Seahawks or any other teams, just check that out in the description. Peace.